Now, after watching the Cubs win Game 3 of the NLDS against the Cardinals, I'm in a good mood, so I sit there and flip back to watch the rest of the Monday Night Football game between the Chargers and the Steelers. And ended up, to be fair, turning out to be a good game, at least at the finish. I mean, the finish was really exciting. Had a lot of different stories there, talking about Big Ben drawing up the big bomb that Vic threw to Marcus Wheaton to get the Steelers back in the game. Talking about the Chargers driving down and taking the lead. And then here come the Steelers, the last play of the game after a nice long drive. Le'Veon Bell running out of the Wildcat. Bam, touchdown. See that, Seattle? That's what happens when you put the ball in the hands of your best player in a goal line situation at the end of a game. Just saying. So Steelers win, and there's all these different talking points, and most of the NFL and sports media is stumbling over themselves to celebrate this finish, celebrate this game, and talk about the joys and wonderment of NFL football. But if you follow me on Twitter, the Jeff Schlegel is the Twitter handle, you'll notice that as we got to a certain point in the fourth quarter, that my whole narrative about this game changed. And I started talking about one thing and one thing only, and continued to talk about it time after time, tweet after tweet, because to me it was something that was so glaringly obvious and so horrendously bad that I couldn't believe that more people weren't talking about it. But of course, it speaks to the failures of the NFL and sports media to do their actual job, which is journalism. So here's the situation. San Diego's got the lead. They're kicking off to the Steelers. Couple of seconds run off during the kickoff. Don't know how the fuck that happens when it was a ball that wasn't returned. If it's not returned, it's not taken out of the end zone. No time is supposed to run off the clock. Yet magically a couple of seconds did. And then after the whistle is blown for the touchback, another 18 plus seconds runs off the damn clock for some reason that is still unbeknownst to me. Now, at no point in time during that moment or the rest of the game did either Mike Tirico or John Gruden happen to mention that in any way, shape, or form for reasons that are still unbeknownst to me. At no point in time from that moment to the rest of the game and even in the aftermath after, did the majority of the NFL and sports media choose to even talk about this or mention this or emphasize this or question this in any way, shape, or form. Somehow, this became, for a bit, a non-story. It's astounding to me, knowing a couple of key things. Number one, that we just came off of the heels of a big thing last week where you've got KJ Wright batting the ball out of the end zone, and at first you've got the commentators praising that for being a great play, while all the while the play is actually illegal. It should be Detroit's ball inside the 1 yard line, and a few minutes later they eventually come to their senses. Somebody tells them what the fuck's going on here. Louis Riddick, in particular on the post game, was hammering away at this, talking about it in the way that he should. And it became a big story, it became a big talking point, it became a big narrative for a couple of days. So you would think the NFL and sports media would be ready to pounce on another situation similar to that, or another blown call, or make sure at least that the refs were on their fucking P's and Q's and got shit right in this Week 5 Monday Night Football matchup. You would think. But lo and behold, here we go. The fucking San Diego Chargers clock operators letting 20 plus seconds run off the clock like it's no big fucking deal. And instead of that becoming a big discussion or big talking point, Gruden and freaking Tirico are talking about whatever the fuck it was they're talking about. By that point in time, I tuned them out because I know they weren't talking about the thing that they needed to fucking talk about. I know damn good and well that the talking heads at ESPN most certainly weren't talking about it, because in the immediate post-game afterwards, everybody's talking about Le'Veon Bell, kissing Le'Veon Bell's ass, talking about Big Ben drawing up the big passing play, doing everything and anything other than their fucking job, something that was so obvious to anybody actually watching the fucking game. How the hell can you not see the time continuously running off of the clock on a dead ball situation? In a change of possession, TV timeout type of situation. How the hell can you not see that all these seconds are running off the clock when it's showing up right on the freaking TV at the bottom? And nobody in the commentary booth cares to mention this. Nobody on ESPN for a while at least seems to want to mention this at all. SVP and his dumb ass is sitting there immediately afterwards with his stupid ass Sports Center. Not one mention. Not one talk about it. He's talking about all this other dumb shit that doesn't fucking matter. Instead of talking about this here, that should be a major talking point similar to what happened with the KJ Wright situation the week before in the Detroit Monday night game. Knowing damn good and well, if this was in Foxborough and it was the New England Patriots, and yes, they have their reputation and they have earned it, knowing that if this happened, the media would pounce on it. They would be all over them. They would be destroying the Patriots. They'd be calling for Bill Belichick to be fired. It's a master conspiracy. Belichick and Brady are in on it. Keep him out of the Hall of Fame forever. Ban him from football for life. We'd be talking about it for a week, and we'd be building up Clockgate as an extension of fucking Deflategate, as an extension of Spygate, and oh Christ, could you imagine the anarchy and chaos and the joygasms in the NFL sports media world? But somehow this goes unnoticed. And then in the aftermath of the game, when people are talking about the way it finished and all of this, I'm tweeting at so many journalists asking them this very important question: how the hell does this not get noticed? How the hell are you talking about this instead of talking about that? Where you've got multiple people choosing, of course, imagine that, to praise the female ref, talking about how good of a job she did, even though she's a part of the fucking ref crew, and even if it's not her job in responsibility directly, she has an indirect responsibility as an official in that game to make sure that the clock is right. She dropped the ball like everybody else. She was a part of this monstrosity, this abomination, this abortion of basic officiating 101, and yet we're fucking praising her because we want to look good to the people. And then we got many journalists that are sitting there, the so-called big-name journalists, instead of talking about something really important, instead of trying to dive in and ask hard, tough journalistic questions, we have so many of these female reporters asking all this fluff bullshit that doesn't fucking matter, and the male reporters sitting there praising them for it, retweeting them for it, because somehow maybe they think that they get them closer to getting into the fucking sack with them. The fuck is this? This speaks directly to the integrity of the game. And even Mike Pereira's dumbass after the game, I'm tweeting back at him, asking how the fuck does this happen? Talking about, well, you can't go back and change the time. Why the fuck not? You have all these millions of eyeballs watching the game, paying attention to the time situation. How the fuck does somebody not blow a whistle, make a call, and say, hold on, ding dong, dumb dick, something's wrong here, let's fucking fix it? How the hell does everybody screw this up? Talking about, oh, well, replay doesn't help. Then what the fuck do we have replay for if it can't fix clear-cut mistakes like fucking this? How can nobody sit there and buzz down to the ref and say, we've got a problem here. You need to get this corrected. And even at the end of the game, there was still a second left on the clock, and somehow that magically ran off the clock. And we get to the whole thing talking about how during non-playoff games, it's the home team that's responsible for providing the local scorekeepers. So once again, the dumb dicks of the NFL have put the integrity of the game at stake out of due sheer laziness and absolute fucking incompetence. The NFL, this multi-billion dollar nonprofit organization, who still can't somehow figure out how to put cameras on the goal line. We can put one in the fucking pylon, but like in the case of Sunday's Bears game where Mariani's hands and ball are clearly over the pylon and the goal line, we can't have a more definitive camera angle to show this, and as a result, we don't give the Bears the 2-point conversion. Now we get into a situation where we still don't have those camera accesses on the goal line where the fuck they need to be. All the other technology we come up with, we can't figure out a better way to determine whether or not the ball breaks the plane during a play. Now we've got a situation where on Monday Night Football in a Spotlight Showcase feature event, everybody can see watching at home that something isn't right, something's fucking wrong here. There's some type of hijinks afoot. There needs to be some type of investigation, and ultimately there won't be, because ESPN and all the other sports media is too busy kissing the NFL's fucking ass to sit there and give a shit to actually be bothered to ask the type of serious questions that they need to ask the NFL what the fuck they're doing. When ESPN and the sports media hopped on the NFL about domestic violence and this and that, they didn't have a choice. They had to sit there and do that when it came to the NFL. And probably the NFL was fucking behind that too. Shame on the NFL media. Shame on the sports media for allowing something like this to fucking happen and go unchallenged and go unquestioned. Hats off to people like at Pro Football Talk who actually realize how big of a fucking issue this is, and they actually talked about it and tried to emphasize it. And shame on everybody involved for allowing the NFL to skirt off like this, like you know they're going to fucking do, because we've got the Patriots traveling to Indy to take on the Colts this Sunday. It's Deflategate time all over again. Give me a fucking break. To the NFL journalist and sports media, did you forget that your job is supposed to be journalism, not sensationalistic and stupid bullshit fluff? I realize that you work in an industry where a lot of people, most notably women, get their jobs just because of superficial reasons, just like how they look, and don't really provide anything of actual substance or any real talent into the fucking equation. You don't like what I said, go fuck yourself, because it's true and you know it is. It's the Fox News type of mentality. Put a bunch of decent-looking women on there to say a bunch of dumb shit, and men will watch in droves. It's what happens. And instead of talking about something important, something that changed the game, and let's address this really quickly. The whole notion of, well, you know, luckily the Steelers scored, so it didn't screw them. Technically, if anything, it screwed the Chargers potentially out of 20 seconds, of which maybe they could have had one or two big pass plays down the field and got a position for a potential tying field goal. And the whole thing of this and that, you know, when you want to sit there and say, well, it worked out anyways, if there's 20 extra seconds on the clock, which it was supposed to fucking be, who knows what the Steelers do? Maybe their philosophy changes a little bit. Maybe something else happens and it doesn't finish the way that it did. This is important. This speaks to the credibility and the integrity of the game. All the effort we put on deflated fucking football, why are we not putting even 1/100th of the effort and energy towards trying to figure out how the hell something like this could ever fucking happen where everybody could see a Monday Night Football? Unbelievable.